Hey guys, welcome back to Jurassic Collectibles. So today we're super excited to be taking a look at this. It's the brand new Papo Minis Tub Series 2. We've already looked at the Series 1 tub. I'll put a link to that video in the description down below if you want to go and check those out. But we love these mini tubs because they represent smaller versions of their detailed adult counterparts. And stood next to their adult versions, these work well as baby versions. The dinosaur minis come in this really nice, clear, resealable plastic tub, and there's even a little foam lining inside to keep your dinosaurs in good condition. Take a closer look at the packaging. You can see we've got Papo Minis there, and then we've got a rundown of the dinosaurs contained inside. So it looks like we've got the Allosaurus mini there, we've got the Carnotaurus mini, we've got a Dimetrodon mini, we've got a Pteranodon mini, we've got an Ankylosaurus mini, and right at the end there, this is a Carnotaurus mini. And this means that we've got a Carnotaurus adult on the way. Due to come out later this year, the Carnotaurus promises to be a really exciting release from Papo, so we can't wait to see the adult version of this Carnotaurus. Okay, without further ado, let's get these minis out of their packaging. So here are the Papo Minis out of the packaging, and I'm always pleased to see that Papo use really realistic earthy tones on their figures, even in miniature. Now these look absolutely fantastic, and I can already tell these are going to look brilliant next to their adult versions. So let's take a closer look at each one. First up is the Dimetrodon, and you can see here it's got a really similar colour scheme to the adult version. And this is really nice to see because it's going to sit really nicely next to it as a baby version. Some beautiful airbrushing going on here and wonderful sculpt work. They've even painted in the detail of the little yellow eye there. The teeth have been individually painted and the tongue has been painted there, and you can just see the level of detail that they've gone into. This really does look like a perfect miniature of the adult version, and a very nice glossy finish as well. You can see that they've even weathered the underbelly there to give it almost like a sort of a scaly finish. Next up is the Allosaurus mini, and I think this one's got something of a 1998 Godzilla look about it if you ask me. It's obvious that they've tried to match the colour schemes as best they could, and I do think there's some really nice airbrushing going on considering the size of this minifigure. They've also tried to replicate that sort of horned look that the Allosaurus adult version has. Really nice armoured legs going on here. I really like that attention to detail. And again, they've really carefully painted the eye area and the teeth and the flesh between the corners of the mouth there. Really nice detail. A lovely looking little figure. Really cool looking. And again, very glossy and sort of wet looking, like a little hatchling should be. Next up is one of my favourite adult carnivores. It's the Carnotaurus, and you can see that they've got the head sculpt spot on there. Really does look like the adult version, and I really like the earthy colours used on this one. There's a nice black wash that brings out all this fine scaling detail all over the body, and there's a really nice armoured legs going on and a very nice contrasted pose as well. Probably this is my favourite minifigure out of this box. I think it's a really super looking mini carnivore, and again, really nicely detailed eyes, teeth and tongue all painted really carefully. So yeah, this is really nice, and actually those little horns going all the way along the back are really nice too. You've got the unmistakable horns obviously above the eyes as well, so this is a really super looking figure, and the really tiny arms as well. They're absolutely minuscule. Look at them. Next up is the Pteranodon, and you can see although the paint scheme is vastly different to the adult version, this is a really faithful sculpt. Really does look like a miniature version of the Papo Pteranodon, even down to the really fine details on the wings and this really nice sculpt of the body underneath. Really great. And what's cool about it is it's not just a shrunk down version of the Pteranodon. It actually feels like they've kept the proportions right for a juvenile version of the Pteranodon, so the head's a bit bigger and the body's a bit bigger, and that feels really natural. Next up is the Ankylosaurus, and as far as miniature versions of the adults go, I don't think you could get a more accurate dinosaur than this. This looks super. Really nice miniature version of the Papo Ankylosaurus. Very true to the sculpt and paint job of its larger counterpart. Really detailed, got lovely armour going across the back there. Really nice wash to bring out all those details underneath. This really does feel like a miniaturized version of the adult, and that's great. And last but not least, the one we've all been looking forward to, it's the Giganotosaurus. Now, as we haven't seen the adult version of the Giganotosaurus, this might give us some clues as to the design that Papo is going to release very soon. Now, the one thing that I find most interesting is not only does this have a really long tail, but the tail is really, really thick. If I bring in the Allosaurus, for example, you can see they've got a similar thickness going on, but further up the tail you can see that the thickness of the Giganotosaurus tail is quite consistent all the way through. So maybe we're going to see this in the adult sculpt. In terms of the colour scheme, we have this sort of charcoaly grey transitioning into this sandy grey underneath. So this might give us an indication of the colour scheme on the Giganotosaurus. Also, we've got very prominent shoulder bones. You can see they're really poking out there, and it feels like the skin is being pulled taut away from the torso. So we might have very prominent shoulders on the adult version. Also, there's nice clear musculature in the leg. So maybe this gives us a few clues as to how the adult is going to be designed. Okay, so let's kick off the mini and full-size comparisons by looking at the Dimetrodon. And here is the adult version next to its mini version. You can see that the mini version is much more of a coffee colour, whereas the adult or full-size version is more of a honey, sort of ambery colour. You can see that they've tried to imitate the patterning on the sail as best they could, considering the scale of these little figures. Next up, let's bring in the Allosaurus, and you can see probably out of all the minifigures this is the weakest one in terms of its colour scheme. It's a very sort of dark grey, almost like a charcoal colour, similar to the Giganotosaurus, and the original Allosaurus was more of a creamy sandy colour. The sculpt is pretty accurate, and I can see in some places they've tried to sort of highlight the cues of the same colours. So there's a little bit of brown on the back of the neck here, there's a little bit of brown on the original, but apart from that this one doesn't bear too much resemblance in terms of the colour scheme. The sculpt it does, but the colour scheme I think needs a little bit of work. Next, let's bring in the adult Carnotaurus, and you can see these two really resemble each other in terms of the sculpt. Again, like the Allosaurus, they suffer a little bit from a colour difference in the paint scheme. If you're looking just to get these as standalone figures, you know, as mini figures, then that's absolutely fine. But if you're looking to use them as baby versions of the adult counterparts, then I think the coloration is just a little bit off. Next up, here's the adult Pteranodon next to the baby version, and as you can see, again, the coloration is much darker and vastly different to the adult version, but this one really resembles the adult in terms of its sculpt, so I think we can forgive this one. It does look like it's part of the same family just through its sort of silhouette alone, so I think this is actually a really nice baby version of this figure, despite the fact that it's a completely different coloration, and also the finish is quite different as well. This one's quite matte and this one's quite glossy. And next, let's bring in the adult Ankylosaurus. Now, with this being the only herbivore in the set, I think this one looks really adorable next to its adult counterpart. Even though the coloration is slightly off, the way that they've used the colours in the certain areas really makes this look like a miniature version of its adult counterpart, and I think it's probably one of the most accurate miniature versions we've had in the Papo lines. There's something very Land Before Time about these two. I get the feeling they're off on a weekend adventure together. Our entire Papo collection, along with all of the individual adult Papo figure reviews, are on the channel. I'll put the links to those in the description down below so you can go and check them out on their own. So just how big are these figures? I'm going to use the Giganotosaurus as an example. Let's bring out the tape measure. You're looking at about 3.5 inches long, which is about 8-9 centimeters, and in terms of the height, you're looking at about 2.5 inches, which is about 6 centimeters tall. And for size comparison, let's bring in our good friend Off Color Alan. He looks permanently queasy, but you can see that the Giganotosaurus or any of the minis actually work really well as baby dinosaurs for this figure. Thanks, Alan. There he goes, he's leaving the review table. And now with the first set in the foreground and the second set in the background united, we have a nice little world of Papo in miniature that we can play with. And I think that's really good for space savers and collectors of mini dinosaurs alike. I do think the detail has been improved somewhat on these figures, but obviously the ones in the first set might be more endearing to people because they're the kind of classic dinosaurs. but you do get some really nice carnivores, including this Giganotosaurus in the second set. So there we have it, guys. That was today's look at the brand new Series 2 Papo Dinosaur minis. These are fantastic little figures and great counterparts for their adult figures. As I said, some of them, the coloration could be a little bit more spot on, but we are seeing variations in the adult figures now, so it could be that we're getting some version 2s of each of those figures. What was really cool about this set is getting a sneak peek of the Giganotosaurus. I can't wait to see this in adult form. Okay guys, leave a comment down below. Will you be picking this set up? In the meantime, rate and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.